Hello and welcome. We are the Aussie guys. I'm AJ. Here with me is G. I don't know what he's doing. He's like on a long distance flight. He's pretending to be on a long distance flight.
It all makes sense.
All right,
This is how I'm doing the pod tonight.
One of the Sons of the West.
I'm right.
Sons of the West.
Ben Harlow. Warm welcome.
AJ, nice to see you. G, nice to not see you.
Well, you can see me. I just can't see you.
On this, our kickoff eve. Well, kickoffs happened, but this is the main kickoff eve.
What a great game!
We had a cracking game to kick off this NFL season between the Bucks and the Cowboys. That was a fantastic game. You couldn't have any complaints, really, apart from if you're a Cowboys fan. But it was going to be a rough game. It was going to be a tough game for the Cowboys to win. In any case, I think. But the Bucks came out of the gate absolutely on fire, and you can't probably say anything different considering how many starters they've returned to their team. It was just like it was, the week after the Super Bowl, and they were just playing. It was business as usual. Gents, how are we?
Excellent, mate. It's end of the weekend, so it's probably not the most uplifting time of the weekend, which is Sunday night, which is like I've got to go back to work tomorrow. But we're here doing this. Obviously, Ben's in a very good mood after the doggies absolutely smashed Port last night. Very convincing. But just going back to the game, the Bucks and the Cowboys, mate. What a great game to start the 2021 season. Like, it had everything. It ebbs and flows. The momentum shifted. You had interceptions. You had great touchdowns. Noah, please be quiet. Sorry, it's a bit carried away on his PlayStation. Yeah, it's an unusual spot for him, actually, on the PlayStation. But it had everything. And I just want to say, mate, Tom Brady.
Mr. Backwards, 7 o'clock. It's not 8 or 8.
Dude, thank you. Quiet, please.
If we're mentioning Tom Brady, why don't we mention the other guy on the other end? Dak Prescott. Hold
on. Yeah, mate. I think Brady looked a far better quarter. Like what is he, 45? 44? Mate, his arm looked far better than Dak Prescott's arm. Like,
now he had
when he won the squeeze
a deep ball. Was it to Antonio Brown or was it to Godwin? But man, the strength that he showed on that one particular deep ball that I remember us discussing at the time, that his arm isn't 44 years old.
Oh, mate, it was incredible. Mate, when he puts touch on the ball, well, you don't need that arm strength. But when he needs to, fit it in that window, and we're not talking about, a large pain window here. We're talking about one of those little small round ones, you get on the beach house.
It was our play school.
Yeah, play school's excellent. Mate, it was perfect, and it was fast. It had zip on it. He looked fantastic, Brady. Absolutely fantastic. And I think my offensive VIP is looking not VIP. MVP. MVP is the word I'm looking for.
I'll send you the Wiggles learn the alphabet tomorrow, mate.
Thanks, dude. Hot potato. Weekly spaghetti.
I think the thing about Brady, you everything said everyone about the age and all that kind of stuff, but when you're playing behind that offensive line as well, I mean, if he could have, picked anywhere to go, which he probably could have done right after he left the Patriots, he probably had, at least 20 odd phone calls, I imagine. What a place to go with that offensive line. And, if anything that he might be feeling, in terms of age, disappears when you've got all that time. I mean, he had so much time to throw, all night on Thursday night. It was it was a pleasure to watch. But I think Dak looked great. I think I think the big thing with Dak was, how is he gonna react to the pressure, and is he gonna still stay in the pocket and all that? And he just did. Some of the throws on the outside to CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper were, top 3 quarterback throws. So yeah, exciting stuff.
I found, just before we move on from that, I found that they need to have a bit more. The corners were so close sometimes to get in there, and it felt, well, I think a couple of times they did. It just, I don't know, they just didn't have the confidence back yet. I tell you why they did have confidence in Ben, and that's stay in the pocket.
Yeah.
Mate, he got cleaned up a few times, mate, but he just stood there. He knew he was going to get absolutely hammered, but he just waited that half a second just so his receiver would get open. And mate, you can't teach that stuff. There's a lot of quarterbacks that'll be starting this weekend that just won't do that.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of going to gloss over Raven's question there, just because we want to get on to the other 15 games. But yes, certainly losing Murphy Bunting in the first quarter hurt the Bucks. But
Dean had a
highlight was
night.
definitely the player Micah Parsons. He looked fantastic.
The problem with Micah Parsons that I heard today, which was a really I was listening to the Audible guys. They made a really good point. Is he's really good at timing his blitzing, but he's not very good at getting him back, in coverage.
Okay.
Which Brady picked him apart during the night.
Yeah.
He did a couple of times.
Well, it was his first game, so
yeah, it's his first game.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to let the guy be a rookie as well, right? Like it's not going to be. Perfect. If the Cowboys defense made enough plays to get them to a point where Brady had to go down the field and win. So I think Cowboys fans will be pretty happy with that performance. Albeit a loss.
So listen, let's get stuck into what we're going to talk about. So week one, I got in trouble for calling it a week one preview. It isn't really, although we are going to talk about the 15 other games on the slate, with the idea or the premise being for week one, the number one fantasy scorer in each of these games. I got that right,
that is correct. And hence why I'm wearing this, because I'm doing this blind. We're doing this. We're not allowed. We're not using. I have my notepad here, but I can't find it now. It's got nothing written on it. It's a clean slate. We have not going to use any of last year's stats to do this. We're just going to go by what we've seen so far this year. So it's like blind additions. So
yeah, no, that's fair. And
I haven't been on a plane for a while too, and I miss it. So I just wanted to put this on because I haven't been able to travel.
I think week one, from a fantasy perspective, although we're not going to go too far down the rabbit hole, but week one from a fantasy perspective, don't get fancy. No. Just play your studs is a cliche, but just play the safe options. Don't try and overthink it. And week one always surprises us, and we go, oh man. My hit rate week two is always much better than week one.
We're going to find there's going to be champions that are no longer champions. That's probably still good players, but they're going to drop off. You're going to have a rise of a lot of new guys. Every year it's different. It's like, drafting defenses, like everybody goes and drafts a defense far too early in a redraft league. And mate, we find every year that everything turns around, doesn't it? On a lot of occasions,
Yes.
And some wide receiver 3 or 4 on one of the teams is just going to go off for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, I imagine. Who is it going to be? No idea, but it's going to be someone.
Yes. So it's also important not to overreact.
Yeah, whoever you drafted, especially in redraft leagues this year, if whoever you drafted as your starters, you pretty much starting them. That's why you picked them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So you're telling me, AJ, that I shouldn't have got rid of Mike Evans 3 times today? I should have kept him.
Well, that's right. Man, he dropped a couple of balls. His night would have been a lot better. He missed some opportunities. And that offense is so stacked that unfortunately, I think if you don't take your opportunities next week, will it be Antonio Brown who misses a couple, and then Evans will be the one? Who knows? First cab off the rank, maybe one of the worst games, really, honestly, of the 15 more on offer. Jags at Texans. We've got the debut of Urban Meyer. We've got the debut of T-Law. We've got the coming out party for Tyrod. Lots of things on offer, but Ben, your number one fantasy producer from Jags Texans. Bit of a barren landscape.
I can't pick anyone from the Texans. I just can't do it. Like that franchise is like, I've been watching The White Lotus. I don't know if you've seen it. Very interesting. It's a big sort of satire about the current state of the US. And all you see at the start is a dead body. And then you go through all these characters in a hotel in Hawaii who are all so messed up that you can't even wonder who is going to be the dead body in the end by the end of the show. And that feels like the Texans. They're all over the shop. They have got problems. They, no confidence. Even the front office is horrendous. So I'm not going there. I'm actually going to go a dark horse with this one. You thought about it a little bit. I'm going Marvin Jones Jr. I think he's one of the guys that, think about the fact that Lawrence, it's his first game. Obviously the running game there has taken a bit of a hit. So I think they're going to use
this is PPR, sorry?
We going PPR? Yeah, sure. I'm happy with PPR. Obviously,
Kyle scoring.
Yeah. But, at the end of the day, they've got some great receivers there. You can't argue he's got a good host of receivers to choose from. They haven't really got anyone, you would say, at the tight end position. So I think Marvin Jones Jr., such a reliable guy, good hands. And we saw it in the last couple of preseason games. Lawrence was looking down the middle. He was trying to hit the guys between the numbers and move the chains, and that's what Jones is good at. So, you fancy him in the red zone too. So I'm happy with that pick, I reckon.
And the premise we should put on this too, AJ, is the fact that we can't pick QBs.
Yeah, I naturally just went away from QBs because otherwise you'd have QBs in almost every one of these games.
So we should just let people know that, we won't be. If you don't hear a QB's name and wonder why, that's because we're looking for players outside of the QB.
Mind you, I don't think you could in this game anyway. Pick the QB.
Maybe one.
Well, maybe, but I don't think so.
No.
Who did you pick?
Look, I don't totally agree with Ben. You could almost go Cooks because who else are going to throw the ball to?
Oof.
He could see a stack of targets, an absolute, But I'm not going to go there because I just don't trust the quarterback. I just don't trust the whole team. And I'm going to go with Laviska Shenault. I think he's just going to be that safety valve guy in the middle, running across. He's going to be right. He's going to be in his play, right in his view for a lot of the game. The guy can get open, run after the catch. I think in a PPR league, he's going to see a few balls go his way, and then he can make yards. He's virtually like a running back, isn't he? Once he gets the ball with more speed.
Well,
so,
this is the argument.
The third down back, isn't he? Probably.
Yes. Well, see, this is the argument. Not have Travis Etienne for the season. I picked James Robinson. He was my pick. But you got to say that Laviska becomes almost the Etienne role in ways. But
that's what Urban Meyer wanted. But he already had a Laviska Shenault player, and he went and got Etienne to be Laviska Shenault.
Yes.
What are you doing, dude?
And I think for many, the big question is Urban Meyer. And we just have to see what that is. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not going to watch this game. I've got no interest. I'll watch
we have to
highlights.
we have to see. Yeah,
I want to see Lawrence.
And you do want to see how Urban Meyer plays the game out, don't you?
Yeah, you do. It doesn't excite me. Yeah, but anyway, yes.
You mean you don't want to swap our watch party tomorrow night, AJ, from the Rams and the Bears to the Jags and the Texans? Is that not something you're interested in?
No, and the game that's also on in the early time slot. Although there's a big slate of games, as there always is in the early time slot, but the next one will be the one I'll be watching live or close to live, which is Chargers at Washington Football Team. Who do you have in that game?
Ooh, Chargers and Washington. Well, we've got Fitzmagic. Well, we hope we get Fitzmagic, don't we, for the first game?
Not the
tragic. Not the tragic part. He doesn't really start as the tragic, does he? He always starts out with the magic. The tricks are pretty easy at first. It's when they become a bit more complicated that we might see a bit of the tragic. But when he starts sawing people in half, and with Terry McLaurin, but you can't go past Keenan Allen. You can't. Mate, the guy is just going to see a ton of targets. He's in that position so he can play inside, outside. Mate, where he goes in drafts, like some of the people that go before him, you think, mate, you can't be disrespected if you're still getting taken in the second round in redrafts and stuff like that. But some of the players that go before him, he could probably go in ahead of a couple of guys at least. But I'm going to say Keenan Allen. He's just going to keep rolling it on.
Ben? Yeah, I mean, I would have gone there. I reckon the guy I had in my back pocket just to play a bit of devil's advocate is probably unheralded in drafts this year. Had a fantastic year last year, and I think can only grow with Fitzmagic. There is Logan Thomas. I think Logan Thomas is probably behind Scary Terry, the second probably threat there, and loves it. They love him in the end zone as well. And I think they're going to use him in a sort of Travis Kelce type role this year. So I think it'll be McLaurin, it'll be Thomas, and then outside of that, he's going to obviously check down a fair bit to McKissick as well. So yeah, Terry, could have a quieter day tomorrow than probably with Logan Thomas maybe taking some red zone targets.
I also said Keenan Allen simply for the fact that I think, not that I don't think Austin Eckler is going to have a good game, because I think he will. It's just that Washington D-line is legit, one of the best D-lines in the entire league. But the Washington linebacker core is a little bit lacking. Jamin Davis, I'd be really interested to see how he goes. But the rest of that core is average at best.
Do you think this is a shootout?
Could be a Keenan Allen day.
Do you think it'll be a shootout as well? Do you think it'll be a high scorer, this one?
Potentially.
Well, Herbert loves slinging it around, and we know Fitzpatrick certainly he does. So it could very easily be.
Potentially. Interested to see the return of Derwin James. But again, there's question marks about the Chargers D, likewise. Kenneth Murray, I'm hoping, takes a step this season. Let's go to
in the right direction. That would be
at Colts. Yeah, in the right direction. Seahawks at Colts. It could be a fantastic game. Lots of things we want to watch in this game as well. Ben, who's going to be the top scorer? Lots of choices.
Oh, not really. One for me, no. Jonathan Taylor. I think you just gotta lean on Jonathan Taylor. I think he is, Wentz has obviously been a little bit limited in the preseason, so you don't know whether he's going to get his usual load of throwing. So the Seahawks have been miserable against the run for years, and there's not really any indication that they're going to use Jonathan Taylor any less than they did sort of to the tail end of last season, where he was just a bell cow guy. So, I think Jonathan Taylor's going to have a field day. I think the Colts are going to win this one easy.
Well, they
Yeah,
have
Naheem
said
Hines
that
would
they
be-
want they want to use him a bit more, don't they? Well, that's what they're saying, but every year they say that, and mate, they just paid him too.
Yeah, I was going to say Naheem Hines with a big contract this week. But, you know, I don't think that is of consequence to Jonathan Taylor's workload, really. I mean, they're playing different roles in the offense. And, yeah, I think I picked Jonathan Taylor as well. I think that there's enough questions around Carson Wentz and how he's going to be integrated into, you know, full flow. I don't know if he's 100% necessarily. G, who did you have in this game?
Oh, sorry, mate. I'm going the other side of the ball. I'm going the other team. I'm going DK Metcalf. Mate, he could take the top. Like, Indy's defense is good. It's not great. It's good. And, mate, this guy is, we've spoken about before, this guy has serious speed for his size. I don't think anybody it's hard for anybody to cover this guy in the NFL. And they're going to unleash Wilson. They're going to get more into letting him throw the ball downfield. Mate, he could walk away with 9 targets, 5 catches, and he could give you 150 yards and 2 TDs easily. Like it happens. So I'm gonna go back that they're going to unleash Wilson and he's going to throw more, and DK Metcalf is going to be the recipient of those fantasy points.
Listen, it's definitely going to be a game to watch. Definitely a highlight. We go. This is obviously this graph goes up and down and up and down. Here we go to a bit of a trough here with Jets at Panthers. Although again, there's interesting storylines in every single game. Obviously, we've got Zach Wilson. We've got some really young players. We've got some rookies. We've got some young players in these squads. We've got Sam Darnold. What's he going to do? There's certainly lots of questions, and that'll be interesting from that perspective. But Ben, who did you?
We got PJ Walker coming on in the second half.
Well, there's also the return of a certain running back to the Carolina Panthers. You know, which I mean, we can all say that we're a fantasy. What do they call you, G? An analyst? We can say that we're enthusiastic, so we can say that we're.
There we go. That's what we are. We're enthusiasts. We're fantasy enthusiasts.
So whatever you say, that's fine. But we're all idiots if we're not picking Christian McCaffrey for this game, right? Let's be honest with you. Like he is there to, lead this team forward. I thought Matt Rule did a decent job with this team last year. I think it tailed off as the rookies struggled a bit, and they lost kind of any kind of quality play from the quarterback, I think. But I think I'm excited to see the Panthers this year. I think the defense is going to be good, and that could maybe be the downfall of Zach Wilson this week, although really, really excited to see Wilson as well. But I think Christian McCaffrey is going to ball.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Elijah Moore as well this weekend with everything that he's been doing in the preseason, especially in camp and whatnot. When you have beat reporters that all they talk about, they've actually said, I'm only here to watch one guy, basically right. what he's been doing on the practice field and all that. But look, mate, I'm with Ben. Like, seriously, how do you go anywhere else? You just can't. There's no one else on. There's no one on the Jets you're going to take over McCaffrey. Where's the number one? He's the number one pick in fantasy. Like, why are you going to put anybody else in the score more fantasy points than him? He's just not going to do it.
Of course. And Raven has also reminded me of one of the big storylines, of course, from this game, which is Sam Darnold. Well, it's only game 1, but it is obviously the big story being Sam Darnold being an ex-Jet and now being
the revenge game.
Revenge game.
Yeah. Robbie Anderson revenge game. Is there any more in this game?
Yes.
Any more other players that...
Lots of storylines, lots of connections. Let's go to the next one, which that'll be the one that Ben watches first, cab off the rank, which is Vikings at Bengals. Again, a very interesting game on offer here, and lots of choices that you can pick.
No, there's not. Is there, Ben? There's only one.
Well, No, there isn't, G, because
Ooh.
after what scene
Here we go.
the other night, I have to pick Justin Jefferson. I have to, because if he doesn't outscore him, I am owing you a bottle of the finest, 45 wine from South wherever, Valencia or something.
Just give me some bubbles, Dom Perignon. I'm happy with that, mate. Just a bottle of that.
Not after the prices you told me the other night, G. You can have 45 wine. Yeah, I'm gonna go Justin Jefferson. There is an obviously more obvious choice that both you guys will probably take. The Bengals. One thing that they are going to be is exciting on offense, but the defense is downright terrible, and particularly against the run. So I don't blame you guys for going with the chef, but I'm going to go for Justin Jefferson because I just think his big playmaking abilities, that is what sets him apart, and he could quite easily here have a couple of 50+ yard touchdowns in this game. He doesn't need to do a lot to do that. So that's big fantasy points. So I'm going to go there.
There's those of you who are Marvel fans, there's a parallel universe where the Bengals have the number 1 defense in the league. This defense is very, very bad. So this could be a very high scoring game. My goodness.
Look, it's interesting to see talking about the Bengals, but on the offensive side, how Burrow looks. Jamar Chase with all the drops, and he came out and said that he sort of struggled with the fact that they don't have the white lines, circled on the football, and it's a little bit bigger. And dude, you had 12 months off, mate. What have you been catching? Nerf balls, seriously. And just to see the step forward again of T. Higgins, who was just fantastic in his rookie season last year. But I think those guys might be a bit limited depending on how Burrow goes. But back to our choice, I can't go away from Dalvin Cook, especially no tight end to speak of. You could see a lot more passing, more than he's used to out of the backfield, just for that simple reason. 2 receivers and a running back. So he's just going to, he's going to get the touches. He's going to get passes out of the backfield. I think this is going to increase a bit more this week until Herndon seems to come along, or get acclimated to the playbook, which he didn't do at the Jets in 3 or 4 years. So I don't know how he's going to do it so quickly at the Vikings. But sometimes a kick up the arse and someone lets you go and says, we don't want you anymore. It's just what you sort of need. I'm going to go with Dalvin Cook. But, I'm not sort of hoping for a big game from Jefferson, just because there's something on the line for me to win.
All right, I'm going to shock you all and go Tyler Conklin. Not as my choice. It will be, of course, Dalvin Cook. Quite easily.
Interesting though that none of us have probably even thought about Joe Mixon, right? He's just not really a guy that you're probably going to bank on this year, despite the situation.
Mate, it's actually quite weird because I've been a bit of a Joe Mixon truther, and I have him in a lot of leagues, and I really loved him coming out. Mate, I've actually been off him this year. I've been on him every year, and this year everybody's on, and I'm sort of a bit. I can't. I'll keep him I've got him on my teams, and maybe I'll get rid of him if he starts to play well. But I don't know, man. It's 5 years to break out. He's got his green thing off. I don't know. I just don't know. And on this offense, with that offensive line, he's had so many chances.
Okay, next game on tap, we've got 2 teams that their ambitions are to go deep into the playoffs. This could be an absolute cracking game. Cards at Titans. We've got some key additions on both sides of the ball. And this looks like a fantastic one. Ben, who did you go with? You could have gone a few different directions here as well.
I am going to break G's heart. Julio is going to go for 150 and 2 TDs. He will be an absolute monster. They I just think that it's set up for that. I think it's absolutely primed. That this Cardinals defense is no good. It is a gimmick. The only guy they've got up front is Chandler Jones, who's a fantastic player, can rush the passer. But I wasn't impressed. Isaiah Simmons last year looked a little bit like what Micah Parsons did on Thursday night for a lot of the year. He was good when he was up at the line of scrimmage doing, blitzing. But apart from that, he looked very, very suspect as a sort of hybrid linebacker when he had to coverage. But I just think AJ Brown. I think you could argue that that's Tannehill's favorite, but I just think they've got Jones for what, a year, maybe 2. They're gonna make use of him, and they're gonna really give him the ball here early to help Tannehill along here with a big day. So Julio for me. Sorry, G.
No, that's okay, mate. That's fine. That's all good. It's all, mate. We had we got a lot out of Julio, a lot of enjoyment, mate, and I'm just glad that I got to watch a player like that in my lifetime play for the team that I follow. To be honest, for me, I'm just going to stick with running backs, mate. I'm going to stick with Derrick Henry. The dude's a freak. The dude's a powerhouse. You can't stop him, mate. He's a freight train. It's a serious freight train. And he's going to get a ton of carries. I should say ton. I think they're going to try and maybe not give him as many as last year. But, mate, it's the first game. The guy knows how to be prepped for a game of football. I saw a short doco on what he does, mate. It's all about football. It's seriously all about football. If he's not training, mate, he's sleeping because he knows if he sleeps, he's going to play better. It's just he's just got it all down to a really fine routine. And I think once you get down to the goal line, mate, the guy could run. He could easily run 3 in. He's going to get 2. So I'm going to go with Derrick Henry just on touchdowns alone. I reckon maybe not 150 yards and 2, but. He could do a Julio.
I went Derrick Henry as well. We go from the heights of the Cards and Titans, which you could easily see as a game in January.
No one thought about Hopkins.
Well, there's lots of choices.
The Titans' defense is terrible.
I don't know. I think their defensive line is quite impressive, and
not terrible.
That's the first thing that Carolina has to throw over, like the defensive line. Yeah. So if the defensive line have their hands up, DeAndre Hopkins is going to struggle.
Yeah, but usually he can throw it over the top because Hopkins is already on the way down the field. It's the guys running across, doing the crossing routes and stuff like that concern me about Kyler Murray and his height.
So from a game that we'll see, like we could well see in January, to a game which we're certainly not going to see in January, and that's 49ers at Lions. Good luck, guys, picking someone here.
This is a tough game to pick a player that's going to have the highest fantasy score.
Well, it is when you take out the running backs because both sides are committee backfields. You would probably say, and haven't got a clear. Trying to pick who Shanahan's going to run in touchdowns for every week is hard enough. And I mean, Detroit don't really have anyone at the wide receiver position, I don't think. I thought about this one. I mean, to be honest, I'm going to be watching Nick Bosa go up against Penei Sewell. I think that's probably the best matchup that I'm going to be watching in this one. But I'm gonna go for George Kittle. I just think it's a safe option. I think Kittle, has proven that his relationship with Jimmy G in particular has been a massive success for the Niners. That down the middle, kind of between the numbers role for him. I thought about Deebo Samuel here because I think they're going to probably ramp up his targets this year. And I think Ayuk's struggling a bit with the hamstring. So I ended up going with Kittle just because, it's George Kittle. And, I think he's going to be up there again with Kelsey this year in terms of targets and production.
G.
Look, I do like the Kittle picker. That's the first person that came to mind. But even in his best year, he only ever scored 5 touchdowns. You look at there's something about Shanahan. He doesn't like his players scoring too many touchdowns. Maybe he doesn't like the ego that comes along with it. So, but I'm going to go. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to go the other side of the tight end fence. So I'm going to say TJ Hawkinson. Mate, the dude's going to get targeted like 20-odd times a game, especially in this one. His PPR points are going to be more than what Kittle scores in yards. I just feel that they have nobody else to throw the ball to. Like Aman, the Pharaoh. I'm going to start calling him the Pharaoh. Aman. What's his last name?
Amon Ra.
Amon Ra. The Sun God. And who else I got? Tyrell Williams. Is he even playing this week? Is he?
Not sure.
He is.
Quintez
Cephas, who I like coming out, but just I just think TJ Hawkinson's just he's going to be the number one target of the Detroit Lions, and like I said, he could get he won't get 20 targets, but it might not be far. It might not be far off.
No. And I went Hawkinson as well. So we both on either side of the ball. We both went tight end, which is pretty interesting. So we go from
the only thing that worries me there with Jared Goff is that in Los Angeles, it wasn't the tight ends that got all the production in. It was the wide receivers. It was Bobby Woods. It was Cooper Kupp. So I'm just wondering what if that's something that Goff can adapt to.
But do they don't have a Cooper Kupp. Like TJ Hawkinson's Cooper Kupp. Do you know what I mean? For the Lions, like he's going to be that in that sort of area of the field where Goff found him all the time.
True.
I think, G, if you take your blindfold off, you'll actually see that Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp, not TJ Hawkinson. But anyway,
they look a little different.
I'm doing this blind, mate. Week one is just flying blind. So that's what
so
I'm
again from sort of a downer, Niners Lions to Steelers Bills.
Tasty.
This is a game. Wow, what a game this will be. Steelers at Bills. Again, you've got a few choices. G. Where are you going? Steelers at Bills.
You only have one. That's Stephon Diggs. He'll just pick up. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they have the year they had last year, and he just steps it up just a little bit, and the guys that were above him at 1 and 2 and the wide receiver just drop off a little bit. He could be the number one wide receiver in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
So he's just going to roll on from last year. Josh Allen's just going to take another step. Well, I hope he does. And Stephon Diggs is riding that train right alongside him. One's driving the train, the other one's shoveling the coal, mate. They're working in tandem. It's a beautiful thing.
Ben.
Yeah, I think probably out of all the games here, this might be the one where I would go a quarterback. I think Josh Allen, to be honest, is going to be the guy here that's going to really score the fantasy points. But
I would have got Jared Goff in the last one if we were going to go quarterback.
But look, I mean, it's interesting. I think that Diggs pick is interesting for the fact that he'll probably be up against Joe Hayden, who's in a contract year, and the Steelers are going to probably try tag him there. But I'm going to go. I'm going to go the rookie. I am going to go the rookie. Najee Harris. He is going to ball. So I'm going, I think you saw it in preseason. They're working him out of the backfield. They're also, looking for him to get early downs. And I think as if there's a weakness in this Bills lineup, it is that defense. And I think, they're strong at cornerback and they're pretty good at linebacker with obviously Edwards and Matt Milano, but I think they struggle a little bit outside the run zone. So I think that outside run is where Harris is gonna excel. So yeah, and I think he's gonna get the touches at the goal line. I think that's going to be one thing that surprises people this year. I think the Steelers are going to go a bit heavier, on the run at the line of scrimmage rather than, they had a lot of drops last year in the red zone from wide receivers, Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster. So I think you could see Harris really go out there early and set the tone for this team.
Could we have a small wager here, Ben?
Another one.
A wager with you is never small, G. It's always
No.
It always ends up costing me for months. So go on.
No, I was thinking I'll take you. You can take all of Najee Harris's yards on the day, and I'll take Stefan Diggs' top 2 catches. So he have more yards in 2 catches.
What?
Than Harris has all day. How's that?
That's madness.
I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. I can pick any 2 catches. It doesn't have to be his first 2, just his 2 biggest catches of the day. Yeah?
Fine. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. We'll work out the details later.
That's madness. And that
on my behalf, madness?
Yes.
Okay.
And that Bills defense.
Well, I am wearing this to do a podcast in, so
yes, you are.
There is something wrong.
Listen, that Bills defense is pretty good. I don't know what I don't know if your expectations are a little bit off. That Bills D-line, I mean, they took what was a strength of the team and they strengthened it. They got Russo in, I don't know what round they drafted him.
You're talking to Ben now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's correct. I think they're going to be pretty good.
So but you're saying that my pick is nuts after what you just said.
Stephon Diggs. No, I picked Stephon Diggs as well.
No, but I mean the 2 target thing. The 2
Yes.
target bet. Okay.
Correct.
Right, yeah. But you picked Diggs as well.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so from that game to another game that's interesting, again, for different reasons, Eagles at Falcons. This is the classic game. This is the classic matchup from the Discovery Channel. Eagles and Falcons, they're natural enemies in the wild. I don't know.
I know that they have a bird season, but I can't do the duck season thing. I can't do it. So.
Eagles and Falcons. Which is the better predatory bird? That's the question. So lots of questions here. I mean, we've got Jalen Hurts. What sort of quarterback is he going to be? And are the Eagles going to be drafting a quarterback in 2022? We may not have that answer tomorrow, but it's certainly a good question. And then the Falcons in the first game in the post Julio Jones era, but the first game also in the Kyle Pitts era.
Ooh.
Yes. Ben, who do you have?
Well, this my guy is so far above the rest of the 2 teams. It's ridiculous. So there's this guy. There's like 70 foot of shit, and the rest of the players on both offenses.
Mike Davis.
It's Calvin Ridley.
Oh,
I mean, come on, Calvin Ridley is gonna I mean, Julio's gone. Russell Gage is gonna be a nice little wide receiver 3 there. But if we're thinking that Kyle Pitts is going to take everything that Julio had, I think we're kidding ourselves. Ridley is one of the most complete receivers in the NFL. He can line up anywhere across that line. They traded Julio because they've got Calvin Ridley. That's one of the reasons why they did it. Matt Ryan absolutely loves him. Yeah, absolutely loves him, and he's increased his touchdown score each of the last 3 years now. I just think you can't look past Calvin Ridley here. He's gonna have a big game against, let's face it, an Eagles team that we talk about predatory birds. These guys are in captivity. These guys are these guys are in a cage at Healesville Sanctuary. They don't know how to exist in the wild. Like they have got a big rebuild ahead of them, and I just cannot see anything more than a big day for Ridley.
G.
I was going to say they've got those. What are they? I don't know what they're called. That they put over the bird's eyes when they land.
The blindfolds, like a blindfold. Yeah.
But they're not. They don't use eagles, do they? They actually use falcons, don't they?
Yeah.
So that's not going to work for me then. But as you're saying about Jalen Hurts, you're not going to find out if he's going to be replaced after one game. But every story starts with the first word, doesn't it, AJ? So
yes,
it might be the first word of the story getting written for Jalen Hurts. But I'm sticking with Ben. Like, how do you not? He's complete. He's an amazing route runner. Got a really good pair of hands. He's got everything that you want out of a number one wide receiver. And to have him as your number 2 with Julio there was just a sheer luxury, really.
Do you know what's going to make me sad though over the next few years, G? Is watching him having to play for the Falcons.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know, like this guy deserves to go to a team that's contending. He does. And
but
whether somebody.
You say that there's so many players on really bad teams. You could say that for everybody. And Allen Robinson's probably one of them. But Robinson's done a bit more time in the NFL than Ridley has so far. So that's when it gets to a point where you've been in the league for maybe 7 or 8 years and your lifespan's 10 at the position you play, if maybe a bit less. Well, then you go, I wouldn't mind going to play with a contender. But mate, Ridley's still, he's not even in the prime of his wide receiving youth at the moment. So
I was
don't be doing that to me, mate. Please. Yeah, that's not fair.
I was being facetious.
Justin Jefferson deserves the same thing. He doesn't deserve to be playing for the Vikings with bloody Kirk Cousins throwing the ball. Please.
Keep it moving along. So I picked Calvin Ridley as well. That's the last of the early games. We now go to a slate of 4 in the late games on Sunday. And I think the pick of the 4, although you could make an argument for one other, but I think the pick of the 4 is the first one I've written down here, Browns at Chiefs. Browns at Chiefs. G.
The freak. The freak could win this on 2 catches.
He
two
could.
Catches. 175 yards and 2 TDs. It could happen. It could happen. We all laugh it's not going to happen. But, mate, of any player in the league that could do it, it's him. If anybody said, okay, which player in the league could give you 150 yards, 2 TDs on 2 catches, the first person everybody's going to say is Tyreek Hill.
And the second one's DK.
DK could be another one, but no. He only needs 5 catches, and he's going to get you 40 fantasy points. So I'm just going to roll with what we've seen for the past couple of years with Mahomes and him, and what they do together, and just the speed. And we saw, mate. The funniest thing, just talking about that, is who was it? Damian Williams who scored the touch. Which I get confused with the 2 Williams, which one sat out last year and which one stayed. But when he gave him like a 25-metre head start when he's running for the touchdown, and he sort of ran alongside him and sort of just said, I'm here with you, dude. I'll just wander in with you. It's just that dude's like, he's unbelievable. So I'm going to stick with the free Tyreek Hill.
Ben?
Well, I mean, I'll go quantity over quality here. I'll go Travis Kelce. I think at the end of the day, we know, right? We know that those 2 guys, most weeks they're going to be top 5. With Kelce, it's like top 2, right, in his position. And you just think first game of the year. I think the few drives that Mahomes put together in preseason were just laughable. It was just like, 2 throws, one to Kelce, one to Tyreek Hill, and touchdown. Right, see you later. Like, we'll sit the rest of this one out. Like, it's going to be those 2 guys all year. So I think Kelsey probably, Chiefs will go up big and they'll just use Kelsey to move down the field and give a bit of Clyde a run this year, hopefully.
There was an interception that Patrick Mahomes threw in one of it might have been one of his first half a dozen throws, if less than that. He got intercepted, and it was like he was running towards the sideline, and it's like, I'm not running out with this ball. I'm just gonna throw it, and if it gets in his bite, because he knows what he can do. Like it's some quarterbacks who go, damn, I threw an interception. I should have. But mate, he doesn't care because he knows he's just mucking around. He's not mucking around, but you know what I mean. That's the type of guy he is. He doesn't need, as Ben said, he's just a couple of throws. Thanks very much. Yeah, arms warmed up. I'll go sit on the sidelines and see you week one.
And for the first time in this discussion this evening, we've got three different players because I've gone with Nick Chubb.
In PPR, you go with Nick Chubb in PPR.
Yes. Now, I'm not saying the others aren't going to score, dude. I'm just saying, look, we've got some big fantasy producers on both sides of the ball here. But Nick Chubb, yep, I do like me a bit of Chubb. So there you go. Let's now go to a game where, look, we've got some big fantasy producers, but, I don't think it quite looks as good on paper, and that is Packers at Saints. Jameis off his LASIK surgery. Are we going to see the old Jameis or a new Jameis? What's this offense look like? I think that's a big question for sure. And the Packers, one last dance. It'd be nice if they had a dance to have a last one. I guess he's got one ring, but he doesn't quite have Michael Jordan's 5 when they did like one last dance. So anyway, I think there's a lot of storylines in this game as well. No, actually, Ben, who do you have?
I have Devontae Adams, and it's not even close. I just think that
it is. You're right, mate. It's like the next person behind him is not like this guy. He's like the one that got away. That's how far
The Packers would rather draft quarterbacks and cornerbacks than anybody to help Rodgers apart from Devontae Adams. So let's not beat around the bush. And I thought about Aaron Jones for like a tiny nanosecond, but then I just thought I think the Saints are going to struggle in this one big time.
Who do you have?
No, I'm there.
Devontae.
I'm piggybacking Ben. I'm with him. Well, he's piggybacking me, whichever one of us is the strongest. He's younger than me.
Only got a pair. We didn't get 3 of a kind, unfortunately. I've got Alvin Kamara, who is hard to go past. He might be the best piece remaining in that Saints offense, to be honest.
That's a question. Is only a word?
Only is a word. Yeah.
Can we use that though?
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
You got to remember, with everything that's going on with the Saints as well, with Hurricane Ada.
Oh yeah,
Ada?
Yeah.
And the relocation. This game's being played in. Where's it being played? Is it played in Jacksonville or is it Jacksonville?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know actually.
Yeah. So they've got maybe a lot of the guys from pods I've been listening to say that they actually live in, they're actually from and live in New Orleans. So, there's all that going on. Whether or not you can switch that off totally, like your professional football players, but they're still human beings. They still think about everything else that's going on back at home and whatnot. So
Raven said Jacksonville. They're playing in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. From a game. Okay,
can I just say before we move on? I watched. They had like these celebrity golf days where some NFL players matched up with a professional golfer, and I think it was Tom Brady got matched up with whoever against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Imagine. I don't reckon Rodgers is not too. He's not a happy sort of go lucky sort of bloke, mate, because he wasn't too happy about having to play golf against Tom Brady Because how do you a guy with 7 Super Bowl rings and you've got 1?
Yeah.
And you probably actually think you're just as good as he's.
Of course,
and probably knowing Aaron Rodgers, he probably thinks he's
better,
even better. Yeah.
Of course he does. Yeah, of course.
Hard 18 holes.
Okay, a game that doesn't excite me and I probably won't watch, apart from just watching the highlights, is Broncos at Giants. We get Teddy and Danny Dimes on opposite sides of the field, and I guess we've got Saquon maybe in sort of a limited way, and we'll get to see Teddy not use any of the Broncos' weapons that they have on that loaded offense, or just use them really, really poorly. Who do you have, G? Broncos at Giants.
This is tough.
This is the toughest one.
I'm doing this blindly. No, I'm doing this blindly, so I haven't done any research at all, which is probably not a good way to do a pod.
Do you want me to read out the roster?
No, the rosters. I know the rosters, but I can't go with anybody on the Giants. Yeah, even though Kenny Golladay looks like he's going to start, in the end, it comes down to Daniel Jones. I have no faith in Daniel Jones, and thank God I got rid of my shares in Daniel Jones. I'm going to go with a guy that I picked up more this year than I had no shares of him, and now I have like 4 or 5 in redraft leagues. I got him every time I could, and that's Jerry Judy.
Nice.
Yeah, I just think I think he's a lot better chance, a lot of scoring more fantasy points, getting more targets with Teddy Bridgewater than he is with Drew Lock. So that was I was very happy to hear that Teddy's starting. I think PPR wise, I think he could have probably the best day for any receiver on either team, to be honest. Noah Fant's coming in a little bit gimpy.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton, still from everything that I've been listening to, still hasn't really jumped at a ball. He's running his routes okay, but he's not. There's a difference between leaping and then landing. Like a lot of times you land on one leg, or probably not perfectly every time you land. So I don't think he's got the confidence back there. Teddy's not a downfield thrower. I think Judy just works in that. Judy works in that perfect in that line of sight of Teddy.
Ben,
It's so jammy.
Tough one this one, and shout out to Raven there for the Kaiser Chiefs reference with Judy, like that one. I think I'm going to try not. I think I agree with G, but I'm going to go for a slight twist. I think it's going to be Melvin Gordon. I think he's a guy who they brought over, I think, last year to be like a workhorse, and I think because
only 3.4 yards to carry.
Yeah, and I think they had a lot of issues, obviously, last year beyond Melvin Gordon, but they held him out for pretty much the entirety of the preseason. He had a few runs, and I think they're going to lean on him heavily. The Giants also have. They lost Dalvin Tomlinson in the middle of that defense. They have some issues stopping the run. And I just think Gordon could really contribute here. I think he's also probably, guys, fans of Javonte won't be happy with this, but I also think he's the best option on third down as well. I don't necessarily think they're going to look to the rookie too much there.
It's not Javonte time yet.
No.
Second half. Well, second half. Yep.
I like you, G. I went with Jerry Judy. I sort of wanted to do Sutton, but I don't think Sutton's quite there. So I think it's Judy, but it's tough. And I probably would have gone Fant if Fant were completely healthy too. It's just So Jerry Judy for me. Okay.
Kadarius Toney, anyone?
Yeah, no, and and the last of the late games, and AFC East battle. Lots of intrigue in this game as well. Dolphins at Patriots. So we're going to see the first starter, Mac Jones. We're going to see a healthy Tua Tagovailoa. Who do you have, G, in this game?
Oh, I'm first again. Pressure. Patriots. Mac Jones. Wide receivers.
Oh my God.
Just going through them in my head. No. I'll go back to the Dolphins side. Going through the Dolphins.
What about your boy? Go for the rookie, G.
Who?
Waddle.
Jonah. Oh, I was thinking what? No, I'm going to go with Miles Gaskin. Mate, pass catching back, mate. They love him. He's going to get carries. He's going to get catches out of the backfield.
Carries. Wow. Revolutionary.
He's not a third. What I'm saying, he's not a third down back. He's not supposed to come in on passing downs, is he?
No.
So now I'm going to stick with Miles Gaskin. I'd love to say Waddle because big fan of Waddle.
Early.
So, I know what I'm going to get out of Miles Gaskin. I yet to see what I'm going to get out of Jalen Waddle, except what we saw in preseason, which was good. But this is for the keys to the house now you're playing for, aren't you? And Dad,
right.
or to the Ferrari or the car or whatever your dad might drive. Not too keen about handing those straight out to a P plater. I'll stick with Miles Gaskin. Yes, I'm going to go with that.
Ben, who do you have?
Another tough one for me here. I don't fancy either backfields, to be honest, to be good in this one. I very rarely go tight end here, but I'm going to go tight end. So I'm going to go Jonnu Smith, and I think I thought you were
going to say Ziki.
I thought about Gesicki, but I just think that he hasn't really seen the volume, and I just think that what the Patriots will do. I think their defense will be really good this year, and I think they probably might overwhelm Tua a little bit. I think Belichick knows how to do that. So I think they're going to have a lot of the ball near the goal line, the Patriots. Whether they end up kicking a lot is probably going to be, more likely. But I think, well, no, because the bloody kicker missed a hell of a lot in preseason, so I'm not going to pick him for the Patriots. But I'm going to go Jonnu Smith because I think they've spent a lot of money there on the two tight ends. I think they're going to utilize them. And Mac Jones, we've seen how accurate he is. We've seen how good he is, moving out of the pocket and hitting, running targets. And I just think I thought about Jacoby Myers as well. I think he'll have a good day, but Jonnu Smith for me, I think might come away with a hat trick.
You probably made my case a little bit there too, Ben, with the fact that Belichick really does bedazzle young quarterbacks, doesn't he? Rookies, young quarterbacks, with what he schemes up. So that just helps my Miles Gaskin case a little bit more, doesn't it?
I'm here to serve you, G.
Thank you.
And just like we have only maybe once on one other occasion, we've gone three different ways here. And Jonnu Smith is a great
pick. Gotta love good three-way, though.
I wish I could say that from experience. But Jonnu Smith is a fantastic pick. I went on the other side, and I did go with Mike Gesicki because I think that Tua needs to make a fast friend of Mike Gesicki, considering the struggles that he has had that have been well documented. I almost went Devontae Parker, to be honest, and I think he's going to have a good game too. So,
I like Parker. You just think the thing that worries me a little bit about Tua and the Dolphins is he hasn't really established that connection with any of those receivers that a quarterback needs to bank on in every game. Hit him with 10, 12 targets, give him 100 yards, give him a score. You just don't know where Tua's going to sometimes. And I think that just worries me in that offense.
Miles
Gaskin.
Thank you.
Now we go to the Sunday night game. Lots of interest in this game for sure. We've got the Bears at the Rams. Ben, who have you got? Bears at Rams.
But well, I mean, I think new quarterback obviously for the Rams. I think he's gonna really enjoy having his two receivers there in Cup and Woods. But Matt Stafford's never really given his wide receivers big days consistently. So I just feel I'm
except for one
towards what Golladay.
No.
Oh,
Megatron.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, for the last few years anyway. So I'm kind of leaning the Bears. I know that sounds bad because they've got Andy Dalton under center.
Yes.
But
God, you're going Andy Dalton over Matt Stafford.
Well, I'm not. I'm going Allen Robinson over all of them because I just think he's the guy, right? He's the man up there. Put him with a blind G behind center with his blindfold on. He's still gonna get.
He's still gonna get the ball, isn't he?
He is, yeah, and so I just. He's the most complete receiver on that field, and he's gonna do well.
Mate, good defense, the Rams. AJ, good secondary.
Yes. Some problems at linebacker, I would say they need to sort out.
That's not going to affect Allen Robinson, though, is it?
No,
linebackers aren't covering him.
Obviously, they got a good.
They lost John Johnson. They lost John Johnson. He was a big guy for them in the secondary. So they
could afford
Ramsey,
to.
Right?
They've got the emergence of Fuller, Taylor Rapp. They've got some good players in the secondary there, and obviously up the front they're strong. There might be a defensive player of the year up at the front, I suspect. Maybe. But who did you have? Darnell Mooney? Darnell Mooney, maybe?
God knows this year. They're all mixed up this year, the numbers.
Is it? Did he just take 1 9 off and he's just going to play 9? He might as well just put that. They should let him put like the S for Superman or something like that on your jersey. Just don't worry about numbers.
Oh no!
Just how about you just put whatever you want to put on there. Just whatever you want. No, I'm going to stick on the Stafford side, but I'll stick with the Rams. Thanks. I'll stick with a quarterback that I have a lot more faith in than Andy Dalton. And I'm going to go Robert Woods.
Nice.
I think you're really going to see the real Robert Woods now. Like you've seen a very bloody good Robert Woods, but now you're going to see the real Robert Woods with
the real Robert Woods.
The real Robert Woods.
He's been pretty damn good, G, and very underrated.
But now you're going to see why he should have been underrated because it's not him. It's been his quarterbacks.
Yeah, and Robert Woods for me as well.
And look at the guy, mate. The guy throwing the football he has no hesitation of just throwing it downfield. None at all.
Very true.
None at all. It's probably his second thought is not throwing it downfield. His first thought is throwing it downfield.
Okay, let's go to the Monday night game. I dare you to pick a running back. We have the Ravens at the Raiders. Ben, who do you have? Ravens at the Raiders.
This one excites me less than the Jacksonville Houston game, to be honest. I got zero belief in Lamar Jackson as a passer, so that takes out the entire Baltimore offense. Although I have a lot of shares in Mark Andrews, so he would be high up on my list, but I'm not going to go there. I'm going to lean on the Patriots. I'm going to lean on the Raiders side of the ball. And I mean, for me, you're sort of thinking about, well, where's the quarterback going to throw to? And they've done a lot of work trying to create an offense there by not picking anyone in the draft who's good enough in the round that they've done it. So that's not really worked. But I mean, maybe I don't go there. I'm struggling, to be honest. Like I thought I had an answer here, but I'm going to play it safe.
Honestly.
I'm going to go Mark Andrews.
Oh,
Mark Andrews. Yeah, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go there. I'm not even going to go there. I was going to go there, but I'm sure G might go there.
I think it's only two choices, if you're honest. G?
Yeah.
Did you pick the other one?
Yeah, I picked the other one. I'm going to go the other side of the tight end line, like I've already done. I think this is at least the second time that I've done this with Ben. I'm going to pick Darren Waller. He's a number one receiver that's already proved what he can be. And I think he's a very safe bet. The other guy that I'm interested to see is Brian Edwards, and just see what he could do. He actually would have been my second choice, even over Mark Andrews, to be honest. Just because of the type of player, he's very physical, downfield sort of guy, physical at the point of catch, good set of hands. Mate, he could have a very good day on a very limited amount of seeing the ball. But I think he's going to see an uptick, obviously, this year where he has to, because in his second year. And look, the Raiders have to, don't they?
They do.
Because I'm not a fan of Henry Ruggs, that's for sure.
No. I went Darren Waller as well, so we've gone all tight ends for this one. So that is it. That is week one.
We done?
That's week one, all done. A quick take through 15 games. Well, we spoke about the 16th, I guess, at the top. So we've done the 16, just a little bit over an hour, a little bit more than we wanted to.
Yes.
But we'll wrap it up real quick. So enjoy week one. It's fantastic to have football back. For us Aussies, 3 a.m. kickoff.
Come on, daylight savings. Daylight
1
savings.
p.m. I know. Daylight savings is always a welcome addition at this time of year, but it's fantastic to have football back. Very best of luck to your fantasy teams and your actual NFL teams. Enjoy it. Just enjoy every second of it because it's great to have it back. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks, G. Thanks, Ben.
Cheers, guys.
I'll wrap this up. And next week, as G has sort of said, I was going to say, and go Chargers. Yeah, go Chargers. And as G has probably, I think, said at some point, so every week we're going to have a bit of a theme. Given this was week one, we've picked the number one player in every team. Next week, you'll have to wait and see what it will be. But enjoy the week. Enjoy it, everybody. And on behalf of G and Ben, I'll say thank you very much. And then last minute thoughts, guys?
Just wrap it up, dude. Come on.
Okay, just wrap it
up.
You
were doing so well for a second.
Well, I almost got there. Okay, thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic Monday. Catch you later. There we go. See